Redskins fans. Welcome to this week's Redskins Rundown. We have some interesting news, exciting news, I guess, depending how you look at it, about the new name announcement. They recently decided on a date to release the new name, which is February 2nd of this year, 2022.
Less than a month.
Yep, less than a month. So we will find out very soon what the new name is going to be. Some bad news in that front, at least in my opinion, and I think with most fans, is Jason Wright came out and specifically said that Wolves or Red Wolves is out. Like that's not going to be due to trademark issues, as they say. I mean, I think that's more maybe a money issue. Maybe they don't want to pay for the name. They say they're going to listen to the fans, and then they go. And they didn't really, because if you listen to the fans, if any group you've been, if you're part of Redskins groups, you see that there's people out there that don't like it. Oh, it sounds like a high school team. There's definitely those people as well, but the large majority of us definitely, Red Wolves, Redskins, like it works.
It definitely
You know what I mean?
would have had a nice ring to it, and obviously what they could have also done was we saw on a lot of like mock-ups that they did that with the
wolf tail.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
was like, that's pretty slick. I like that a lot.
And then you got Howl to the Red Wolves, like Hail to the Redskins.
Yeah.
There's no other name that I've heard, that works like that. And I think that's why people liked it. Like, yeah, I can understand maybe how people feel like, oh, it sounds kind of high schoolish or, not NFL cal, but at the same time, I always really like the name. Like I can get maybe where they're coming from, but I think that's just because it's a new name. But unfortunately, the point was that name is out. So talking about it, I guess at this point really is pointless. It's unfortunate. As far as I've seen, the current list of like remaining names, it hasn't really seemed to have been very concrete.
Yeah.
The main names that are there
are
here
that we'll put up on the screen.
Yeah, you have the list. Go ahead and read it off.
So we've got obviously we're gonna go ahead and cross off Red Wolves here. So with the list of remaining on the list, we have the Red Hogs, the Defenders, the Armada, Presidents, Brigade, Commanders, or of course the Washington Football Team. Which of those
and
options?
There's also the Admirals. That's right, one of the other ones. Which most of those names, I mean. Red Hogs would be cool because it has a throwback to Hogs, and obviously they want to live,
that.
Exactly. They want to follow, and honor the past. That would be a really good way to do it. That would be a cool surprise because at this point it seems like Commanders is like the favorite for what people think. I've also heard Admirals as well. Excuse me. So, and I mean, that's not a name I particularly like. Commanders, I don't like that much either, but I think I could get behind that one.
Yeah, and to be honest, of those options, I kind of like it. If we're eliminating Red Wolves, which we are,
which we did,
then I mean, I've kind of grown on the Washington Football Team.
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
Like I mean,
absolutely.
if we're doing that, I mean, at this point, we've had it for 2 seasons. They've repped it.
Definitely. It's grown on me. I actually agree. I was just trying to pick from the possible new names.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess Washington Football Team is probably still an option, and I agree actually. If it was between the current list of finalists and that. I would kind of prefer that. I mean, there's teams out there that are called the Browns and the Texans, like, like people want to be like, oh, you got a stupid name or you're a football team. Like, you know what, dude? Like, it's not what matters.
How generic is that? So
it is generic, and I wouldn't argue against that. Someone said that to me, like, you're right, it is a generic name, but is it better than like the Washington Presidents? Absolutely, I'll take the Washington Football Team 1,000 times over some name like that.
I hope it's not the Presidents. Oh my
if it was, oh my God, that's the event. They're not going to be a team in like 2-3 years if that happens. Like I'm very nervous about this new name.
We'll know soon. We'll know.
I mean, I will. I'd say we'll cover as things develop, but obviously nothing's going to develop until the 2nd of February. So, when that day comes, we'll definitely cover that. Of course, that's going to be a big day for Washington fans to see where this whole long journey of the new brand and renaming the team goes, and if they actually listen to what fans thought, which at this point doesn't really seem like it, but we'll see.
Although I will say this, that we've seen based off the teaser video that they gave, if they are going with Washington Football Team, they have completely changed the jerseys. because that's like
That's
the whole
true.
yeah.
But it is
So
still a W as far as we know. It's a W on the helmet. So
could be. So it's still in
it
play.
still could
Still
be.
in
It
play.
still could be. Although, I mean, oh man, I honestly, not thinking about it, I would prefer that at this point. If they just stuck with that, change the helmet to something other than the numbers. Cause I mean, the numbers were cool, but like you gotta have a logo on your helmet. I mean, like
Yeah.
look at the Browns helmet. That's just ridiculous.
Did you see the hit where the I think it was it Patterson or Gibson where he went into the hole and like made contact and like the decal just like flew off.
Yes, I
Yeah,
did. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that was crazy.
yeah. I was like, all right, so maybe it's time to retire the numbers on the helmets. Maybe that was the sign.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think it was a cool look, especially given the situation and the team and name. It's a good thing that instead of being like the Browns and having nothing, it was a good idea. It worked for with at the moment. But if they stuck with the Washington Football Team name with the W logo, I would be totally cool with that. But I mean, there's some pictures of the patches of DC Football Commanders. Or there's like the People's Team. There's been like a lot of different things on social media. Leaked pictures of the video, which I don't think they'd really show anything on the video. I mean, it wasn't one thing. There was different things, but
Yeah.
I don't think they'd be that good. But you know what? Who knows? Dan Snyder still does own the team, so you never know. But he doesn't seem to be running things. So let's have a positive outlook and hope it turns out well.
For sure.
One other positive note: left tackle Charles Leno agrees to a 3-year extension for $37.5 million, which is good news to get that position locked down. He's played well for us this season, so I'm happy to see that happen.
Yeah, he definitely has. He's actually the only lineman that they have that started every single game, so all 17 games. So
yeah, and a guy that can play every game like that is gold in the NFL. Really, I mean that's really what you want.
Yeah, and I mean especially left tackle being pretty much that key position, especially for a right-handed quarterback because that's going to be the person protecting his blind side there. Obviously, we have big Trent Williams, and Charles Leno has really come on. He was a good player for a long time, for 6 years with the Bears. He's only 30 years old, so a veteran player, but not to the point where he's not. He still has 5, 6.
That is pretty
years.
old for a left tackle, though. I mean, 30. I mean, that seems kind of. I actually didn't know that. I thought he was younger than that.
Yeah, no, he's I mean, by comparison. I think Trent Williams is 33.
Well, Trent Williams is 30. He's 33.
Yeah, so I mean, and Trent Williams is still going to play for like 4 or 5 more years. So, I mean, he'll be fine. Don't worry about him. He's been a good player for a long time. I'm sure
he has, and I think he'll be good too. I mean, I agree. He played well this year for us, so happy to see that. Hopefully, they can work out some deals, with McLaurin and other key players.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's the next step, and then, of course, figuring out who he's going to be protecting back there would be the other part of that. But yeah, at least good to start, putting some of these pieces together before the off season even really starts.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, on to the Eagles game, or the second Eagles game in 2 weeks because of our weird last 5 game schedule. Yeah. Very strange. But yeah, so Washington got the ball to start the game, which, in my opinion, as I'm sure I've said a lot.
You always say.
Yeah, and it's just never a good sign. Generally, when we get the ball first, it just, I don't know what it is. It just doesn't. And we started off good too in the game, but like, I don't know what it is. It's just a thing, but yeah. So Deandre Carter took a good kick return out past the 30. And then Jarrett Patterson got the start in place of Gibson, who was on the COVID list, who had a good game, in my opinion, as we'll cover.
He did.
Yeah, him and Williams as well have both looked quite good. On our early 3rd and 3, Heineke connected with Cam Sims for a first down and a gain of 16 yards. Surprisingly, only Sims' 12th catch of the season to this point. It's kind of unfortunate to see him not utilized as much.
That's true. I was thinking that too when I saw that was only his 12th catch. And I know he's been dealing with some injury problems, so obviously he hasn't played an entire season.
Right. But yeah, that's still I'm not sure how many games he's played offhand, but
actually, you know what? He He's played in 14, so he's only missed 3
Okay,
games.
yeah, I figured
But,
it was most of the games, but
yeah, I
yeah, so
mean,
that's a very low number of catches.
coming off a career best 32 catch, 477 yard, 1 touchdown season, he has 15 catches for 211 yards and 2 touchdowns. So definitely not.
Got another touchdown, but yeah,
Yeah,
definitely not as good stats
yeah.
there.
So I mean, and you would think that he would. It's not exactly like other receivers are, kicking ass, and that's the reason he's not getting looks. I mean, it's basically still been all Terry, or actually, Adam Humphries has
Yeah,
gotten
well, it
the
depends on the
second most
game. I
looks.
mean, there's last couple games Terry didn't get targeted much at all, compared to how earlier in the season he was targeted.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He has struggled, especially in the last 2 games where Taylor has played Dallas, or the last couple of
Yeah.
games in which
Mm.
he had a really hard time. That Trayvon Diggs factor, but happy to be done with them for the season.
Yeah, I would just personally like to forget about that game.
Yeah,
The one in particular.
it's
Like
understandable.
we can just act like that didn't happen. But
Yeah, Adam Humphries. Obviously this was supposed to probably be where Curtis Samuel came into play, or maybe even De'Ami Brown. But the receiver that has the second most catches um, for Washington is Humphries with 40. So
wow.
yeah, yeah. Now surprisingly, Humphries has no touchdowns, but he still has 1 game left against the Giants, and they're pretty awful defense. So he's got one more chance to potentially score a touchdown. So hopefully his all of his hard work and
If his
work.
one good route, into it works in the
Yeah,
end zone, then he's good
yeah.
to go.
Well, I mean, ideally, what he would need to do is break one of those in cutting routes for a lot of yards and take it to the house. But
Right, that's true. You're
yeah,
right. That would make more sense.
yeah. But I mean, he's probably not in on a lot of the red zone packages. So
Yeah,
that's another interesting thought. But yeah, maybe he'll get one against the Giants.
yeah. So after Cam's 12th catch of the season, Heineke's next 2 completions went for 10 yards to Humphries and 24 yards to John Bates to set up an
Speaking of,
11-yard an 11-yard Jarrett Patterson rushing touchdown to put Washington up 7-0 early on.
yep.
Taylor was 3 for 3 at this point with for 50 yards on the first drive, and Jarrett Patterson coming out and looking good as well. Good again, once again.
Did.
I mean, I think I said this before, but our running back depth just feels really good. Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter who's back there. I'm not like, oh man, Gibson's out, fucking Patterson. No, I'm like, cool, all right. Like
Yeah.
Patterson will get it done.
Yeah,
Like
and
even
an
Williams hasn't been in a lot, but when he is in, like, he's looked good.
That's how we felt for a long time. I know I always tell you about how good I feel about our running. It's like, okay, it's like,
Yeah.
do you want Jeff Wilson? Do you want Elijah Mitchell? It's like, when we're lucky enough to have him, do you want Raheem the Dream? It's like,
I was gonna say.
it's like who do you want? It's like, so yeah, it's a good thing to have. But Jarrett Patterson on the day, 12 carries, 57 yards, and that touchdown. So he was Washington's leading rusher.
Yeah, he definitely had a good game.
Yeah.
So after that touchdown, after being stuffed for no gain on first down, Jalen Hurst found rookie wide receiver Devontae Smith 30 yards. The Eagles would face a 4th and 2, despite being the worst team in the league on 4th down this year with 5 out of 17.
5 out of 17, yeah.
They would go for it.
Yeah.
And it was handed off to Jordan Howard, but he would be stuffed by Ioannidis, Cam Curl, and others.
Yeah, it was
which
like
was great.
Gang tackled. Yeah, he was
that was nice. Like, I honestly thought they would get it. To be honest with you,
the Eagles even went with their power back, Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard's their power back, and just couldn't get it done. Couldn't get the penetration.
Couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Washington would take over on downs. Heinicke made an excellent play on 3rd and 1 when Derek Barnett almost got to him for a sack. He drifted back in the pocket to avoid the rush, like he often tries to do, and floated the ball over the linebacker to Ricky Seals-Jones for a big first down.
Yep.
Yeah, and I always love seeing Heinicke, the way he's in the pocket. And yeah, he gets sacked sometimes, like especially when they get through quickly, like any quarterback would. But He's very evasive.
Yeah,
He
yeah. I
ducks
mean,
and he
last
gets
week,
away.
last week he had that one where he ducked down and he did the sidearm around the guy.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
That was
So I mean,
nice.
it's like he's definitely put together some good plays. I mean, it's been a season of pretty it's been up and down, but he's definitely made some. He's got good tape. He's put some good tape out
Yeah,
there.
we'll have to talk about what we think about the future of Taylor
Yeah,
Heineke after we cover the game here.
yeah,
Just as
yeah,
a
for sure.
yeah. So after that, Diami Brown would make a 20-yard catch on the next play. Always good to see the rookie out there getting some yards and catching some passes. Absolutely. Yep. Taylor would find Terry McLaurin for a gain of 12 on the following play. Taylor started the game 6-6 for 95 yards. So, couldn't really ask for much better than that.
Yeah,
with completions to 6 different receivers.
Yeah, I thought that was
spreading the love all
around.
around. Like this game started out.
To defend.
Yeah, the way this game started out was phenomenal. At this point, I was like, holy shit, this is great.
Yeah.
But on the next play, while under heavy pressure, Heineke just threw the ball up, and it was picked by linebacker Jannard Avery. But an illegal contact penalty before the pass would give Washington back the ball. Thank God.
Yeah.
But, that was just a stroke of luck. And then Jonathan Williams, I think he's a third string, right? He's probably the third string running back.
Yeah, I think
maybe even fourth. I don't know.
Yeah, he was in there behind Smallwood as well.
Oh, behind Smallwood. Well, he's definitely moved up over that for sure.
Yeah.
After although he did fumble on the next play, but he other than that fumble. Oh no, but he was ruled down. That's right. That's right. I was gonna say because he was down.
Yeah, that's true. And so Washington ends up putting together a pretty good drive, but they stall out. And they end up taking a 31-yard Joey Sly field goal, who we didn't really address, came back last week in the Dallas game. I mean, they obviously only scored 14 points, 2 extra points, so he really wasn't much of a factor. But yeah, it was good to get him back, obviously, and kind of stabilize the kicking position for at least the last few weeks. But that would
we didn't mention that last week.
I don't think we covered that because it was such a shit show. But yeah, that would.
Oh, I guess that's possible. I guess it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that would put him up 10-0. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. So at this point, game was looking great. Heineke's throwing perfectly. Both quarterbacks would start 7-7 before Jalen Hurts' first incompletion on a 3rd and goal. The Eagles would go for it on 4th and goal, and of course, score a Boston Scott rushing touchdown to cut the lead to 10-7. So this is when it started to take a turn. Washington would put together another good-looking drive, taking the ball inside the red zone before Josh Sweat would get around Cornelius Lucas for a big sack on Heineke.
Yeah.
And Heineke, he continued to have a perfect game for at least in terms of his ratio. He started 11-11 for 138 yards before his first incompletion on a shot to the end zone for Ricky Seals-Jones.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Jones took a really, really bad looking impact into 2 cameramen.
Yeah,
they did show a shot of the camera here, and I don't know what he hit. I don't know if the camera is what he hit, and because I guess he had a neck injury of some kind.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I mean they had to cart him off the field.
It seemed like he went head first into the camera, like when I saw it on the replay.
I guess those cameras maybe they're heavy, man. I mean I don't know what those cameras they're like, but
heavy.
So, but he also had a helmet on, so.
Yeah.
I'm confused how he got injured so badly from that when he's playing NFL football. Like, I mean, yeah, you ran into a camera, but dude, you got pads and a helmet on. Like, it was just odd to see him down like that and to stay down. It's like, what the heck happened?
Able to brace. He probably didn't see it coming either, so he probably couldn't brace for the contact. And
I guess that's true.
It's another thing if you're getting ready to light some linebacker up in the hole for a block or something, but. You anticipate it, but I don't know.
Yeah, it was just an interesting situation. And then the camera guy that got hit, he actually did get back up and went back out and kept working. So he was all right, but
that guy was pretty ballsy. It's pretty badass.
Yeah, Seals-Jones got messed up though on that, unfortunately. And with Logan Thomas out, yeah, it's like, come on, man, we can't be having that. After that, Joey Sly would add a 39-yard field goal attempt to put Washington ahead 13-7. So Washington had scored on their first 3 drives, which is great. And that's not something there's been many times we don't score in the first quarter. A lot of games like you wouldn't even start playing until the second half.
Right. So a
So
lot
to
of
see
things
this
were
kind of
going
a start,
better. Yeah.
absolutely, to see this kind of a start. I mean, it started 10-0, and even at this point, 13-7 with the way Heineke's looking. I mean, the game looks great. You know, we're still up by a possession. You know, 6 points.
Oh, definitely, yeah, yeah. And then I mean, even on the next drive, you guys had them backed up, facing a 3rd and 8, and then all of a sudden, you know, Jalen Hurts breaks contain and scrambles for a 22-yard gain for a 1st down. So it's like you guys were about to get off the field, and you know, then it's a back-breaking play there. So I mean, you guys end up managing to get him off the field on a third and 2. It looked like Casey Toohill had Hurts sacked, but Hurts ended up spinning out of it and stayed on his feet. However, Jamin Davis would come in there and clean it up for his first career sack. So
yeah, that was nice to see. That was cool to see him get that sack. I was definitely excited for him.
That was big.
And he's been a bit of a disappointment in some ways.
It's been a slow start to his career. Yeah,
exactly. So, and I don't want to say disappointment because I don't know if that's necessarily accurate because he's had some good moments. So I don't want to say that. And I think there's also been talk of maybe moving him in position in some way. I'm not entirely sure what the specifics are on that, but
yeah, I know that right now they've got him playing more as like an outside linebacker, but I mean potentially, I don't know, maybe they'll try to use him more as like a pass rusher or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows how they'll choose to jack.
I know I saw something about that, like, you know, maybe it should change his position. That might help, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully,
you probably have to add some weight to do that, but yeah.
That's true. After an excellent punt, Washington would be pinned at their own 6-yard line with 2:06 left in the half.
Yeah.
Washington would play it aggressively after picking up an initial 1st down, moving it 57 yards on 11 plays to get in range for a 55-yard Joey Sly field goal attempt, which put us up 16-7 at the half.
Joey Banger with the leg. I mean,
side note about Joey Sly.
Yeah.
Joey Sly does not look like a kicker. He looks like a linebacker.
Joey Sly is jacked. He's pretty jacked, yeah.
Yeah, he really is. Like I was noticing that just in the last game. I was like, oh my god, he really is significantly bigger. Like
he hit a 56-yarder in one of the 3 games that we had him cover for us when Robbie was out. And usually Kyle doesn't try anything longer than like 53 with Robbie because Robbie's super accurate, but he doesn't have the leg he once did. But Kyle took full advantage when Joey Sly was filling in, and he had Joey Sly nail a 56-yarder. So our longest field goal of the season was with Joey Sly in there. He's got a huge leg, and I mean his kickoffs are always through the back of the end zone.
Yeah, I'm really happy to have him, especially after losing Dustin Hopkins. He wasn't exactly solid when we had him, but he was better than anyone we had until we got Joey Sly. But Joey Sly seems to be working for us. I imagine he'll be back next season. I don't see why he wouldn't be. He's had a very good record.
Dustin Hopkins is 1 game away from potentially getting in the playoffs with the Chargers. So, you know, we'll have to monitor that.
Yeah, so following the 16-7 end at halftime, the Eagles would get the ball coming out. They would put together a very methodical drive, which involved a 3rd and 14 conversion when Hurts would avoid the blitz and find Greg Ward down to the Washington 6.
Yeah.
Washington's defense would bring up a 4th down and 1, but for the 3rd time, Philly would go for it, converting for the 2nd time.
Nick Sirianni was really just trying to like break Washington's balls all day. It's like, come on, man. It's like, how many times are you gonna go for it?
Yeah, seriously.
It's like, Jesus.
That was pissing me off, dude.
It's like Nick Sirianni was running that game like real life Madden. It's like, I'm just gonna go for it every play. I was like, all right, cool, man. I guess.
Yeah, definitely. After that, Jalen Hurst actually got stepped on by his center, which was hilarious to watch.
But it was impressive, honestly.
It was impressive because he actually, as he's falling backwards, he pitches the ball to Boston Scott for his 2nd rushing touchdown of the day. But
it's like
initially it was funny to watch, and then I saw, the results. I was like, oh man, how did that still happen? But
it was a fucking grace of luck, is what it was, because that is insane. But yeah, that would end up cutting the game to a 16-14 Washington lead. But and the Eagles managed to bleed 7 minutes and 39 seconds. So like half the quarter, was bled off in that one drive alone.
Definitely. Yeah, they had the ball for a very long time.
They did.
And after scoring on all 4 possessions in the first half, Washington would start their first drive of the third quarter with a 3 and out. Of course, when we need, you got to keep points on the board, guys.
Yeah.
So after a second Josh Sweat sack, it would set up the first punt of the day for fill-in punter Ryan Winslow.
Just off the squad.
Yeah, because Tressway was out with COVID, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah, which when we didn't really need a punter until that time. But
you guys only punted twice all game, and honestly, he didn't do.
He didn't do terribly. I mean, he did fine.
The kid didn't do too bad. 2 punts, averaged 42 yards a kick, long of 46. So
yeah,
admirable job.
Yeah, definitely not bad. Can't complain about that.
Washington admiral job, maybe.
Oh God.
I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, after picking up 1 first down, the Eagles would punt the ball back to Washington.
That was shitty.
Backed up inside the 5-yard line. Sadiq Charles was called for a false start, which backed him up even further. Which is great.
Yeah.
They would get some breathing room on a quick slant to Terry McLaurin for his 6th catch of the day. Patterson would pick up a first down on the next play. And then on the following play, Taylor would scramble for a gain of 12 and another first down.
Yep.
So very good looking drive. Unfortunately, it would stall out after Taylor was sacked for the 3rd time of the game on a 3rd and 9, once again by Jannard Avery.
Yep. And then this is when Ryan Winslow would punt for said 2nd time with 49 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. And Washington at that point still holding a 16-14 lead going into the 4th quarter.
Yep. At least for a time.
Yeah.
Until the Eagles' following drive, 10-play, 48-yard drive, the Eagles managed to take their first lead of the day on a 42-yard Jake Elliott field goal with 11 minutes and 41 seconds left. So, and that would make the score 17-16.
That's another kicker that's got a fucking huge leg is Jake Elliott for the Eagles. He's got a monster leg too. That kid can really drive the shit out of the football. Very impressive. The Eagles just gave him a big deal last offseason too, so he's going to be in town for a while. But yeah, so then facing a 4th and 5 at midfield, Washington would end up going for it on their next drive, and the pass would end up being dropped on what would have been a first down by rookie receiver Dax Milne. We've been mentioning Dax a little bit more recently as he's been getting more catches here and there in the last few games. So, big opportunity when his number was called. They looked his way.
Big opportunity, and he dropped it.
And that's not how you get back on the field.
Yeah, it's not.
That's not how you impress the coaching staff.
Especially on a 4th down. Like,
that's a gotta have it play. I mean, at that point, your team's going for it. You've got only so many possessions left in the game. That's a gotta have it play.
Exactly. So unfortunately, Philly would take over at midfield with 7:31 left in the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
Washington would force a 4th and 1, but once again, Nick Sirianni would go for it because he just did that all damn day.
All day.
And on a QB sneak, Hurst picks up the first down to continue milking the clock. So when it was all done, the Eagles managed to take 5 minutes and 10 seconds off the clock and 1 yard Jake Elliott field goal to increase the lead to 20-16 with 2 minutes and 21 to play. So Washington would take over still with 2 timeouts, and Heineke would put together a drive that got all the way down to the Eagles' 20. But they'd be forced to use their final timeout with 30 seconds remaining, down 4 and needing a touchdown. Heineke fired the ball towards John Bates in the end zone, but it would be picked off by Rodney McLeod to end the game.
Yeah, that was. I mean, he got him. He got him down there. He definitely got him down there.
Very disappointing ending.
It was.
Considering we did have the chance, and he got all the way down the field like that.
And you guys had the lead for the majority of the game.
Majority of the game, absolutely. Yeah. Like that was definitely a winnable game, but.
Both games against the Eagles. I mean, even the first start with Garrett Gilbert. You guys could have gone and in that game, they outrushed you guys. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I want to say it was like 232 to 68. In this game, we'll break down the numbers for you guys real quick. Total yards a lot more balanced. Philly 330 to Washington's 312. Washington outgained Philly in passing yards, 218 to 212. You guys actually held them because last time I'm pretty sure they got 232 rushing yards. This game they only had 84, or I'm sorry, this game they only had 118, and you guys had 94. So
What was Heineke's final numbers?
Heineke's final numbers on the day: 27 of 36, 247 yards, no touchdowns, one interception. Patterson, the leading rusher, 12 carries, 57 yards, one touchdown. Second best was Heineke with 2 for 14. Smallwood had 4 carries for 12. Williams, 2 carries for 4 yards. Terry was the leading receiver with 7 catches for 61 yards. Cam Sims had 4 for 48. And ever impressive John Bates catching 3 for 35. Also notable, Patterson had 5 catches for 41 yards. So Patterson, between rushing and receiving, 98 scrimmage yards.
Yeah, Patterson's definitely going to be back. Patterson is solid for sure.
Yeah. And then also honorable mention, Joey Sly, 3 for 3 on field goals and 1 for 1 on extra points. Always got to give the kicker
awesome.
love. You know me.
Yeah. So unfortunately, with this loss, that's like for sure the end of the season. It's done. So
all you guys can do now is just try to send the Giants out with a loss, and if God wills it, fire Joe Judge on his way out. Because this would be something like the 5th or the 6th straight game where if the Giants have lost like four games by 10 or more points, so like double-digit blowout losses. So, if you guys are able to beat them by 10 or more points again, like that would be, and you guys should. Their offense has looked terrible, and they're either going to be starting Mike Glennon or Jake Fromm, and neither one of those guys should scare you, even.
Not at all. So we actually might get a win next week, which
you
cool.
guys should get a win.
Yeah. So cool, I guess. It doesn't really matter now, but of course, it's always nice to see the team win. But at this point, it's starting to look like a next season kind of talk is coming up. So, but yep, we'll cover that game next week. Hopefully, it's a win to close out the season. And then as that new name news comes to fruition, we'll obviously talk about that as well. So.
Right. Absolutely.